Good morning, welcome to Surbiton for the semi-finals of the Open Championship. We are bringing you live coverage of the semi-final between Reg Bamford and Mark Suter on lawn 4. Mark Avery versus James Death is already underway on lawn 5 with Avery on a break. The lawns have been measured this morning at somewhere between 13.5 and 15 seconds, so quick. I'm Sam Murray. With me is Eugene Chang. Text commentary for those who prefer it by Andrew Gregory on croquet scores. There will be occasional expert insight from Duncan Reeve, Scotland's number 2 croquet player. Players warming up. Despite the increasing speeds of the lawn over the week, Bamford has persisted with sextuple leaves. It'll be interesting to see if that continues today with the lawns quicker still. Bamford on record of saying it's the firmness of the hoops are the prime determinant for him in deciding whether to attempt sextuples. The difficulty of these lawns more to do with the speed than the hoops this week. Players still in the warm-up. Over on lawn 5, Avery is stuck in hoop 3.
People are watching. Hooray! Right. It's almost like people want to.
All the hot right down there and too late.
Well, one of them
Push a button to
speak it.
No.
Yeah.
So this thing is 5, whatever.
Yeah. You can mute it if you want. If you want to mute it, then.
Bamford and Suter quite similar in stature, almost like twins.
Picking up the bird noise as well. Do you want an ear?
Lawn 5, Death has just failed hoop 1. So having rush peeled Avery at the start of his break, it's Avery on 4, Death still 1 and 1. Avery misses a short one, so slightly error-ridden start to the adjoining game. Bamford yet to lose a game in the championship so far. He overcame yours truly and then Miranda Chapman, women's world champion in the knockout. Unbeaten in the qualifying Swiss.
Please apologise to the team for messing about with the logos.
Chief camera operator Chang apologising for logos moving around on your screen. It will all be perfect by the time play commences. Bamford, an 11 times Open winner, but still he manages to stay hungry for more titles. protracted warm-up here.
Crowd are getting a bit restless.
Some would say it's supposed to be 10 minutes of warm-up time, really. What's going on, eh?
The match referee might have to intervene soon.
I think they're ready. Bamford calls tails. Tails it is. And he will go in. A borzoi, that's a Russian wolfhound, sneezes loudly to our left to begin proceedings.
Oh, yes, you got it, did we?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, nice. I'm not really remember like that. You thanks for working with orthodox. You hadn't a cat, yeah?
So Sam, what sort of opening do you think Suter's going to be doing today?
We've seen corner 2 openings in a large majority of games so far today. This week, I should say.
And is there any particular reason for that? Why would he choose a corner 2 opening? For those who don't really know.
It's generally seen as a fairly defensive opening, although why somebody wouldn't be a little more aggressive against Bamford is a good question. And Suter is into corner 2. Bamford looking to take a shot at partner. Bamford hits third turn. I would expect him to take off to red in corner 2 to develop that and make a leave. Little progress over on lawn 5. Scrappy opening. A good early test of the pace of the lawn here. And Bamford takes off into hoop 2.
Might be off the lawn as well, actually.
Something like a 7-yarder now at red, should he want to take it on. Gets all of it.
Bamford's looking at perhaps joining up with opponent's ball rather than going back to partner, which is a little bit unusual perhaps. I think he's weighing up all the options here. Duncan, what would you say? Is that kind of a common thing to sort of to join up with
No,
opponent ball?
normal to join up with your partner, but he didn't do a very good pass roll, so he's left quite a long shot to lag to his partner. If he misses it, might leave a double for Mark. I think that's what his concern is.
Yeah. Mark's been shooting very, very well this week, so I think he's slightly worried he might not have left a very good. He might have left quite a short target, I think.
So Sam, are you surprised Reg didn't pass roll blue a lot closer to black?
Yes, I mean, blue's a bit disappointing in that he has a rather long shot to set up the leave either way here. Choosing to join up with enemy. The shortest shot on the lawn from Suter will be at black on the east boundary from A bolt, but that's aggressive as he'll be joining up. The two more defensive options are shoot at blue from near corner 1 or at black from near corner 3, ending in either corner 2 or 4 if missing. Showing faith in his shooting and taking on the shorter shot. And he hits right hand side of the ball, rushing it roughly halfway up the east boundary. If he can master the pace of the lawn in the early strokes, there's a very good opportunity here. On the next lawn, Deeth finally has a break. And yes, well judged takeoff across the lawn. You can now send blue towards 2, getting the rush on red to 1 to get the break underway. Former Great Britain captain Keith Ayton is watching from the north end of lawn 5, along with his American guest, Catster Rosenberry. Suter's rush to 1 a little long. Hard shots to judge with the speed of these lawns. That's a very good approach shot. Has a good pioneer for 3. Slightly longish roquet on his hoop 2 pioneer.
I wonder if it's worth giving a quick overview of the game, or sort of the sort of version we're playing for anyone who's sort of uninitiated out there?
Yes, thanks for that, Eugene. They're playing under super advanced laws, which means there's lifts given away by running hoops 4, 1 back and 4 back. If somebody runs hoop 4 and 1 back before their other ball has run either of those, they'll give away a contact.
What's a contact?
A contact meaning their opponent in the next turn can then lift one of their balls and immediately take croquet from any other ball on the lawn. They can, in that situation, choose a lift if it's more advantageous, or play the balls from where they are. That means the three main strategies are either to go as far as but not run 4 back, giving contact and making a defensive leave with balls typically spread around in the corners, or to go as far as 1 back, giving a lift leave, and then look to make progress to 4 back on the next turn, or go as far as 1 back and then attempt a sextuple peel with the second ball. The majority of players going for the first of those options, giving contact. Bamford typically going for the third of those options, setting up for a sextuple peel with the second ball.
It's probably worth pointing out that in these different conditions, you might choose different strategies of play. And this event tends to alternate. Well, it rotates between venues, doesn't it? So it spends a bit of time at Surbiton, which is here. It's a bit of time at Cheltenham, a bit of time at Hurlingham, and the different conditions might sort of lead to different lines of playing being adopted by these top players. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, that's right. We saw it at Hurlingham 2 years ago when conditions were considerably easier than here, and we saw Fulford and Bamford attempting and typically succeeding in sextuples throughout the tournament. The pace of these lawns making higher order peeling turns very challenging, even for the best players.
Have we had any sextuples actually this event?
Yes, Reg beat Harry Fisher with a sextuple in the qualifying Swiss, but the lawns have been getting faster day by day. Suter plays a good take-off back to his hoop 3 Pioneer. Under good control now. On lawn 5, Deeth has reached 4 back. I don't think the leave was under control.
He blobbed 3 back.
Apologies, he apparently blobbed 3 back. It looks so Avery must have rush peeled him in the start of his break.
I believe they're best of three, aren't they? Best of three.
Just to clarify, the semi-finals being played as best of 3. Whilst best of 5 might be typical, the combination of super advanced laws and the difficult lawn conditions means best of 3 being deemed a perfectly sensible way of separating the players. Suter's break progressing without hiccup as Avery's making progress with a ball that was for hoop 4 at the start of the turn.
Maybe you should chide the video man for not looking at the action. Totally forgot that we're supposed to be filming a croquet match.
Yeah, apologies for our cameraman
Cameraman busy
not
replying
doing
to
his job
messages.
entirely.
Yeah. What happens if you have an amateur doing the work? Get him to do stuff. At some point, someone should take a picture of us in our little setup. Got this morning. We were very grateful to Duncan Reeve, who's turned up to spectate, but he got dragged into setting up all the benches and all the umbrellas and the parasols that you've got. They're just outside of the view, but in this searing heat, we would have really, really struggled, especially those of us commentators with less hair than others.
Reeve arrives with a cup of tea for himself, nothing for the other members of the commentary team.
I suppose.
He says it's just water, but I think the point still stands.
Well, he's done enough work for us this morning. He probably needs somebody else to do the runner.
Would you like me to go and get you a drink, Sam? Eugene?
Yes, I'll have a tea, milk, no sugar, thanks, Duncan.
Is that the Scottish way to be having tea? What's the sort of Scottish way
With whiskey.
with whiskey? Yeah. We've got Campbell Morrison following us intently. He's sending us a few messages. So a little shout out to Campbell for giving us some feedback on how big the logos need to be and all that kind of jazz.
Do you want a drink, Eugene?
Hello, Campbell. I hope the leg injury is healing well.
It's probably worth saying that you can comment on the YouTube link directly. So I'll be monitoring that throughout the morning. If you want to post any feedback to us or want to know anything particular, or if you've clicked on this link and you're not a croquet player and you have no idea what's going on, you could perhaps ask one of us to explain in plain English what exactly is going on and why the balls are just going everywhere.
Suter under good control. His hoop 6 Pioneer, however, is somewhat north of the hoop, so that should be little more than a minor inconvenience.
So yeah, if you're just joining us, this is the Croquet Association's live stream of the Open Championship semi-final, single semi-final. We've got Mark Suter currently in play against Reginald Bamford at Surbiton Croquet Club. The current score is 5 hoops for Mark Suter and no hoops scored for Reg Bamford.
Bamford, the 4-time world champion from South Africa. Suter himself spent a fair amount of time in South Africa. He's an English player.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that Suter took up the game as a youngster and then had quite a long time out. So he's actually only came back to competitive play about 2 years ago. And he has been playing steadily better and better since. since coming back, because it's fair to say the game might have evolved a bit in the sort of 20 odd years since he was last playing. I was talking to who was it, Stephen Mulliner yesterday about how they all got into the game and so on, and Stephen believes that Mark Suter's playing better than he's ever played before.
It's a fantastic feature of the sport that somebody after a long hiatus can come back in their 40s in Mark's case and get back to a very high standard of play.
Actually, whilst we're here, we might as well benefit a bit from the expert views from Andrew Gregory, who's doing all the text commentary. So Andrew, can you say a little bit about what the game was like in the sort of 80s before electricity and all that kind of stuff?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I think at my heyday, which was brief, sometime in the mid-90s, I got down to -1/2, -1. And at that stage, I felt I was playing the same game as, say, Robert Fulford and Chris Clark. They were just playing it a lot better. But these days, the likes of Fulford and Bamford, with all their sextuples, the pop tactics that have come in, TPOing very common. It's just a different game, different level. I'm embarrassed to double bank with these guys when I have to do that.
What do you think the main change has been then in the say the late 80s?
There's just more good players. Certainly, the two schools. Queen Elizabeth in Blackburn, where Chris Clark and the Sorins and other players were there, and the Colchester Grammar School, where Robert Fulford and Ian Burridge and others. And from those two schools came forth a generation, and then I think it's that generation that have progressed the game. Certainly Robert Fulford, very tactical innovator. Anyway, we should break off because Mark has grovelled through hoop 6 and is asking for a referee to monitor this hampered shot. It's difficult to see from here how much he can see of anything.
Do you think he's actually even through the hoop? It might be that he's wedged.
That's another theory. He might be stuck in the hoop and claiming a wedge. I must admit, it does look like he's stuck in the hoop now.
Here we can zoom in a little bit. With
Right.
Expert video work.
Our cameraman's zooming in to have a closer look. Still no referee.
So the universal symbol for "I need a referee" in croquet is you stick your mallet in the air like you're about to hammer something down. So yeah, that's what Mark did just outside the screen just now. And
So James Death is the out player on the other lawn, so he's coming over to referee. Players referee each other quite happily. Those that are considerate enough to have passed the referee's exam, know the laws. So James's first task is to see if the ball is through.
he's crawling around like a baby on that lawn, isn't he?
He's collapsed.
Not to do with too much beer drinking.
Oh right, no, the ball is through.
The ball is through.
So James is now marking this ball because if Suter does make a fault here, such as hitting with a beveled edge because he's hampered, or numerous other faults, then his opponent could opt to have the balls replaced as where they were. So that's why yellow is marked. So blue's only about 3 or 4 feet away, but how much he can see of it? Is he bouncing off the wire? It's one of those things that's difficult to see, even with Eugene zooming in. Maybe.
Our runner has come back with water. Perfect timing.
Well, that looked fairly simple in the end, but always courteous to ask for a referee, especially in a tournament as important as this. Anyway, I shall now describe that to those following me on text and hand back to Eugene.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Andrew has been the resident commentator at the major events for the last God knows how many years. He always comes along and provides excellent text commentary, providing sort of play-by-play updates. This is all before this newfangled stuff of video and YouTube and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, I'll hand you back to Sam Murray, who's now got a cup of tea in hand.
Yes, Duncan Reeves made amends, bringing me a mug of tea. He wasn't sure if I wanted sugar, so kindly bought a small cup with sugar in case I did. I don't, by the way, but it's a nice thought. Suter is beginning to set up the contact leave. So what he'll try to do after making one back is to rush his partner ball, red, into corner 2, which is the one with the red flag, and then continue the break with black and blue. Because Bamford will be able to take contact at the start of his turn, so he'll be in control, Suter's objective is to make that break as difficult as possible with balls in corners, on the boundaries, nowhere near the hoops that Bamford wants to make. So we would typically expect partner ball, red in corner 2, blue and black will be across corner 4 where they have no useful rush, and then the striker's ball, yellow, we'd expect to end up in corner 3, which means Bamford has very limited prospects of actually making a break on the next turn. Bit of work being done on the ground by hoop 4 on the next lawn. I think old hoop hole's probably causing a slight problem.
We've now been joined by some more expert players who are coming behind.
Game.
Harry's just had a perfect game.
Hit 4th turn, went round. Hit 6th turn, did the TP.
Wow. Harry Fisher.
Me.
Because it could have been a perfect game
It's true.
the other way round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have made no errors.
I'm not sure I've ever finished a super advanced game in under an hour before.
Come on, Harry Fisher. Harry Fisher is a teammate of mine in the Intercounties team. Plays for Middlesex. Very good player. He has been having some bad luck recently. He played very, very well in the the last 16 or round of 32? Can't remember. I'm talking him up because he's a friend of mine, but he did a bit rubbish really. Anyway, back to the game. Let me try and operate the lens and the microphone at the same time. Let me hand back to Sam. Actually, I think he really knows what he's doing.
Suter's rush not ideal. He's having to play a thickish takeoff back to his 2-back pioneer, the blue ball. The result is he doesn't have much of a 3-back pioneer. It's possible he won't make 3-back.
Are you saying this is to stop Reg doing the TPO? I mean, Reg is a fairly conservative player, isn't he? When it comes to lines of play.
Reg isn't someone who typically TPOs. One advantage of stopping at 3-back is that if Mark hits back in with that ball, he can make one hoop to get to 4-back and then a non-lift leave. My guess would be he's still looking to make 3-back. So he'll look to make 3 back and then have blue and black somewhere across corner 4. The fact that they're close to each other won't matter so long as neither of them can rush the other ball to any useful position. Avery making a contact leave on the next lawn. He's having to finish by splitting 2 balls off the east boundary. Apologies, 1 ball off the east boundary. The other ball into corner 2. Good stroke. So in that other semi-final, both players have a ball to 4 back.
Yeah, double.
Because it's somewhat better operating the camera. Cause
It's growing exponentially.
Suter just momentarily forgetting the sequence he played.
So I'm very grateful for these parasols because without them we'd be baking hot, wouldn't we?
4 parasols erected to protect the commentary team and their equipment.
Yep. So Mark looks like he might be trying to rush blue into the corner here. So he's going to try and create a contact lead where he leaves the 2 balls in contact, perhaps.
Yeah, that's an alternative form of the same contact leave with both the enemy balls already in contact in corner 4. Another way of ensuring they don't have a rush anywhere. No, it would have been quite a tricky rush, so he's just looking to ensure the balls are separated by a reasonable degree on the east boundary.
He cut that though. He could have pinged it straight, couldn't he?
Possibly. The problem is if he gets it slightly wrong and rushes just to within a few feet of black, he's then got a bit of work to do to get them a reasonable distance apart.
Over in the background you can see Alison Morm, who is playing a game on an adjacent lawn 3. She will be taking over with some of the commentary and video work this afternoon.
Alison expecting in December. Our congratulations to her and David. Seems to have done wonders for her play. So the final shot of Suter's turn, he'll looking to put yellow in corner 3. A bit of a disaster if he misses it, so needs a bit of care. Yep, no problem. So good turn in the end from Suter, and a good contact leave. So as described previously, Reg Bamford now has contact, so he can pick up either of his balls, black and blue, and place them in contact with any of the other balls. He can also take a lift if he wishes to A bulk or B bulk, What he might do is just take a very short roquet on yellow from B-Bonk just to move it a little bit further south. And then probably roll back down to his partner ball near the fourth corner. Most players don't typically look to get started from the contact turn. More often they will make a leave that gives them the potential to start on the next turn. Reg is one of those slightly more inclined to get started, but it will be difficult from here.
The leave wants to encourage the fullback ball to play.
Typically the fullback ball will be sent somewhere near hoop 1, which would mean that Suter really does need to play that ball, even though he'd rather play with his red ball, the hoop 1 ball. He has a potential winning turn if he plays with red. On the next lawn, I think Deeth made a leave, leaving himself a rush in corner 3. Avery shot from corner 2 and missed. So 3 balls near corner 3 and Mark's other ball red in corner 4. James Deeth with a jug of water. Now that's a collector's item.
Jug does at least say pins on it.
Bamford is not going to send yellow towards hoop 1. He's looking just to take off from corner 3 to partner ball blue. Sending yellow only a couple of feet into the lawn. If he now leaves himself a rush to hoop 1 from somewhere near corner 4, that may encourage Suter to shoot red at yellow from corner 2 to corner 3.